Hey guys, it's Emac here. Today we're going to build AWS Serverless app Passport Photo Validator. We're going to actually let the user upload a photo and we're going to decide if this is a good photo for passport or not. It might be a photo of a tree, it might be a car, it might be a person. We're going to detect that. Well, we're going to use a bunch of AWS services and also React for our front end. We're going to serve our React application from Amazon S3. We're going to use AWS APIGateway and of course Lambda and IAM for permissions. So AWS Rekognition is a key service that we're going to use here. I'm going to show you guys how to use it in conjunction with Lambda function and APIGateway. I want you guys to think about a very important concept. When you decide to build an application or when you want to help people build their dream project, you always want to think outside of the box, right? So of course you can go ahead and build image classification, recognition using machine learning, TensorFlow, and a bunch of different things that you might know in machine learning environment and world. However, achieving a high level of accuracy in those type of project, it's not an easy job. It requires a team, it requires a lot of testing and having a good model, which we're going to talk separately in a machine learning video in the future. I want you guys to think about the services that AWS offers, for this purpose. So AWS offers AWS Rekognition as a service that you can do pretty much everything for image processing services, unless you are a expert or you want to pursue machine learning and image classification and pattern recognition. That's a separate story. But as a developer, as an architect, you always want to think about your option before deciding on a specific technology. So today, at the end of the video, I want to walk you guys through another concept, which is CloudFront and Lambda at Edge. Let's say you want to serve this application to your users around the globe. You want to make sure you leverage CloudFront as a content delivery network so your app is fast, the uploads are good. And also, you may want to tag the photo that they're uploading, based on their IP or region or the location. For example, if I'm uploading a photo from US, it should be tagged as a US, right? If you want to tag it from, if users are uploading from Australia, it should be tagged as. So that can be done using Lambda at Edge, right? When the user uploads before hitting CloudFront, you can actually use this Lambda at Edge, this functionality to add that header to the request before hitting your Lambda and APIGateway. So this is going to be a very, very fun experience. I'm so excited. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, guys, we're going to log into our Amazon Web Services account. Please go to Lambda. We're going to use the Northern Virginia region. US East 1, and we're going to create a Lambda function. And before actually creating the Lambda function, you see the full concurrency. This is the soft limit for Lambda functions. You can contact AWS and increase that number. So we're going to go ahead and create a function called Passport Photo Validator, right? And this validator is going to be a Python 3.7 job, and we're going to say create function from scratch. So when we create Lambda functions, imagine you want to use different libraries, and that library is going to be used in 100 Lambda functions. So the way you want to manage your dependencies in Lambda functions usually is through layers. So let's say, for example, you want to add library Boto3, which is a library to work with Amazon Web Services services in Python. So you want to add that as a layer, and then when you update the dependency, will automatically be updated across all the functions. For now, since we do have only one Lambda function, then that's not a big problem. But for real life experience, you guys want to use always layers for dependencies. So this is the first page. You see the configuration. These are the triggers. We'll be connecting our APIGateway as a trigger to this Lambda function. So our APIGateway will be triggering this function. We're going to work with permissions that works with IAM's roles to manage the access to AWS Rekognition service. And we have a monitoring section where you will have CloudWatch events and all the API calls. Also, you have X-ray when you want to troubleshoot an API call and you want to kind of go through, kind of troubleshooting mode. X-ray is a very, very useful service. We're going to scroll down. As you know, we're going to use Python here. And every single Lambda function comes with a event and context as a parameter. So this is the entry point of our application. If I go ahead and click on test, you see there's no test at this point. So as soon as I hit test, Lambda is going to ask me, hey, can you create a test case here? I'm going to name this event as test. It doesn't matter what I put here, and the reason is I'm not going to use these values inside my Lambda function at this point. Shortly we'll be updating this to pass the image data to our Lambda function. So I'm going to say okay. I don't care, the items are like key 1, key 2, key 3. These are the things that will be passed to this event section, right? So to the event section, this will be passed as an event so I can extract those values. And context is basically a runtime information and will be available during the runtime. And Lambda handler is basically our entry point. So if I go ahead and test this function does nothing and it says result succeeded, and here is the response because in the return section, I'm telling the Lambda function, the default setup says, hey, just return this, and here's a log output. Now, if you go to monitoring section, you will see a CloudWatch event. Here's view in CloudWatch, and there will be a actual log here in your CloudWatch. Let me show you quickly. There it is. It says here's the CloudWatch, and it says what happened is you call this function and the function just returned it basically 200 response back. So all those transactions, there will be a log inside your CloudWatch logs. So let's go back to configuration. As we talked about it in this application, we are going to build a Python script that can identify and detect things inside an image, right? So before I actually do that, I want to show you guys AWS Rekognition. I want to go to AWS Rekognition. AWS Rekognition is a service that's used by many companies. It's a basically machine learning image classification recognition platform without requiring any expertise in machine learning. So you want to make sure you understand all these managed services by AWS because they will give you a lot of power when you're building an application. So let's take a look. For example, in this photo, you see there's a lot of labels. It's bike, rock, and all the objects inside the photo. This is safe, for kids? Is the content is kids friendly? You can read numbers. You can tag everything. You can say, hey, is this person smiling? If there is a famous person like Warner, CTO of Amazon, in this photo, it's been recognized. There's a celebrity recognition. So it comes with a lot of great, to be honest, features. And there's an API for every single thing, and I'm going to show you how to use that API. But I want to just, to go through this quickly so you guys understand why I'm using this service and how you guys can integrate it in your applications. So I'm going to import a few libraries for my Python because I'm going to work with files. I'm going to read them, I'm going to write them, so I know it's probably a good idea to have OS to work with the file system inside my Lambda function, because I'm going to write the file, read the file, and you guys see shortly. I'm going to use import boto3 as my library to work with AWS services, and I'm going to use import base 64. And the reason I'm going to use base 64 is because we will be passing our image as a base 64 encoded format to the Lambda function, and Lambda function will be using that format in order to work with the image, right? So you guys know the Lambda function, the life cycle is about 15 minutes, is exactly 15 minutes. So if your job or function takes more than 15 minutes, you need to run it with AWS Batch or any other technology in AWS. So, but during the lifetime of this function, when you pass a base64 image, you can actually save it inside the Lambda, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to remove the response code right for now, and I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. This is my entry point. This is how the application starts. So I'm going to create a client, and I'm going to say from Boto3 that I just imported. Go ahead and use the Rekognition service. So Boto knows how to deal with SQS, S3, all the Amazon Web Services, different services, but I am going to select Rekognition in this example, right? I'm going to say I will be receiving an encoded image, and this encoded image, I know it will be an image that's coming, and I'm going to name this photo. And how do I know that? Because I am going to actually change my test case to key value, and that key value is going to be photo, right? So I know inside the event that I'm passing, for now it's empty, we're going to pass some data, right? I'm going to save this. So I know there's a photo guy inside the event that I'm receiving into this Lambda function, right? If I wanted to convert a image to base64, here's a website. You can go to this website, it's great. And you can just simply open your photo. Here's my photo. I'm just gonna let it convert to base64. Here's a base64. You see it says base64. I copied it to clipboard. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna go back to my passport photo validator. I'm going to open this guy, and I'm going to say, okay, eventually my application, my React application, is going to pass this base64 format to this Lambda function, and this is how I will be receiving this inside my Lambda function. Perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and print this encoded image. Perfect. I'm going to test it. So I received that, and there it is. This is my encoded image base64 that I received, right? And I'm returning an empty object. Perfect. So we're going to remove that and move forward. So if you guys take a look at my base64, this is the constant part of my image, the JPEG that I'm passing, and you can use a lot of different techniques like a regular expressions or anything that you want to cut the first section of this basically data, because we don't need to use this. This is just a signature that says this is a base64 image data. So in order to do that, I'm going to just do it in a lazy way, and that will be just encoded. And I'm going to count, and I'll find out that, okay, after 23 character is actually my real photo starts right here, right? Because the first ones are just a signature, right? And I'm removing that from the request. So I'm cutting that 23, and I'm just starting from 23 to the end. This is how you trim a string in Python, right? I'm going to say, okay, once I have that, then I can now actually go ahead and write this guy to a file inside my Lambda function. So you might ask, do we even have a place that we can save a file to a Lambda? The question is, the answer is yes. There is a folder that's called a temp folder within your Lambda function. And I'm going to name whatever you send me to passport.jpg, right? So passport.jpg. Of course, if you want to persist that image into S3 would be probably your best option, because after, again, the life cycle of this Lambda function, 15 minutes, this image will be gone. But this is enough for us. We do have enough time to process that, to see if there's a person or there's a tree, there's a car inside the photo. We can do our job, and our purpose is not to keep this image forever. So all you need to know is just there's a temp folder inside this Lambda function that you can actually store your information. I'm going to say the encoded image that I just received, I'm going to send it to this function. So as you can imagine, we're going to have a function. We're going to define that function, and that function is going to be safe path, and of course the data that we're going to receive. Awesome. So you know how to read a file in Python with open. It's going to be a save path, and we're going to open it in write mode for binary information. I'm going to name this as file, just an alias. I'm saying this file that you just opened, write my information that you received, and it's going to base64 because I know the format of the data that I'm going to receive is going to be base64, and this is going to be B64, decode that to an image, the data that you receive, and save it as an image. So this will basically save a image called passport.jpg inside the temporary folder within your Lambda function. Awesome. So once I did that, now I'm going to go ahead and do a try and catch. I don't want to just catch everything. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to print a simple log here. I'm going to say couldn't read the file. Awesome. And in the try section, I'm going to say I'm going to have image file. I'm going to open that image that you saved in the temporary folder, right? It's going to be exactly the same path. /temp. Awesome. And it's going to be opening this in a read mode. And I'm going to have img bytes. This is going to be img files that I received, and I'm going to read that. Very simple, right? Awesome. And now I'm going to say the image file dot close. So all I did here, I saved the file. I saved the file by converting base64 to an image, and I saved it into temporary folder. And from the temporary folder, I read it because I'm about to make an API call to my Amazon Rekognition service, right? So I'm going to go to img object now. I'm going to create an img object. This is going to be equal a basically just the map of bytes. Cool. And this is going to be img bytes. Perfect. All right, so what we're going to do right now, if I go back to AWS Rekognition APIs, inside AWS Rekognition APIs, you guys will see, let me find the APIs, guys. There it is, API reference. So we do have multiple methods here that we can use, like detect labels, detect faces. So you see a bunch of methods here. For now, I'm going to use detect labels to see if I can actually send something to this function, and hopefully we'll recognize it, right? So I'm going to go with a response method. I'm going to say, hey, I want to make the call and restore the result of this response into this response underscore labels, and that's going to be equal to the client variable that I made on top. It's a copy of a Boto class that knows how to talk to Rekognition. Dot detect underscore labels, and it will be image equal to img ob. Perfect. And I'm going to say don't return anything, just print the response label. So I'm going to save this. As you guys know, I do have an image that I'm going to send to this Lambda function. We're going to run this. We're going to get an error here, and the reason is I'm making a call to Amazon Rekognition. There it is, and it says you don't have proper role or permission is not set for this API call, which is correct. So I'm going to go back to permission. I'm going to click on IAM role. And we're going to attach a policy. It says Rekognition, full access, attach policy. Beautiful. Sometimes takes a second, but I'm going to go ahead and test it. Hopefully that's effective. And there it is. So it's beautiful. Take a look. The response is empty, but I printed the result. It says labels, name, face, confidence, 99% this is a face, and it is, because it is a person. And you see it's finding a lot of different things about this. It does have about clothing, about shirt, about what I'm wearing, head, confidence. So this is a great tool that's very, very accurate, and it's finding the objects inside an image. So in order to test this once more, I'm going to go and upload a photo of a tree. There it is. And in this tree, I'm going to get the base 64, as you can see, and I'm going to go back to my photo. I'm going to open it. Now this time, I'm going to send the photo of a tree, and I'm expecting a different result. There it is. It says now name is plant, and there it is. It says there is a tree inside this photo. So this is perfect. This function is basically capable of finding what's inside that photo. Well, if you take a look at the API reference, there is something that says detect faces. I'm probably more interested in this because it's going to actually find a person. If there is something, it's going to return a result. Otherwise, it's going to return a basically null object, right? So let's go back and change this guy to detect underscore faces. Now we're going to save this, and I'm going to test it with the photo of a tree. This should return an empty JSON object, and as you can see, it says face detail is empty. Now, if I copy the first one was the photo, it says cmac.jpg. I'm going to copy this guy, and I'm going to go back to passport photo, and I'm going to change this base 64 to my photo, and I'm expecting this guy should be able to actually find my face. There it is. So it says face detail. Now there's a bounding box. It says where to start, the left side, the top side. So it actually found a person, right, inside this photo, which is me, and it's amazing. So when I pass the photo of a tree, or if you pass a photo of a car, it will return this face details will be empty. But if you pass a person's face, this will be, you know, returning the coordinates of the you know, person's you know, location inside that photo, which is great. That way we can verify if the user is actually uploading a photo of a person or if uploading a photo of a cell phone, right? We can automate this process and help our, you know, our system to actually filter a lot of bad quality as far as content images, and we can drop those without processing them. If this is a good one, we can, you know, issue another Lambda function and basically save it to S3. We can do other things, but this passport validator is going to, you know, detect that and hopefully return the result. So what we're going to do, we're going to say okay, we're going to actually return the body of the response, which is going to be we're going to just serialize this by using json.dumps. This is how we serialize this response. All right, and this should return actually a you know, a response back to, you know, whoever is going to call this function. There it is. Now in the response section, as you can see, we do have a face detail section. That's perfect. This is a Lambda function, and that's ready, you know, to be used by our endpoint or our API call. So what we're going to do as we're building an API gateway, you know, classic serverless application, we're going to go to API gateway now. Inside the API gateway, we're going to build a REST API. This REST API will be calling this Lambda function. I'm going to say this is going to be new API, and I'm going to name it Passport Photo Detection API. And it's going to be regional. You can, you know, serve an API within your VPC. That's where you want to use a private. You can serve it around the globe using Edge Optimize, right? You can use it regional. For now, we're going to go with regional, and that's going to be very easy. This is what you see. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a resource, and I'm going to name this passport photo. And I'm going to use enable API Gateway course. Basically, when the caller, the source and destination of your you know, request is different, you're going to get a court error, basically because the request is coming from a different source, and this is a security feature that's, you know, within your web browser, and web browser is smart to understand that, hey, this request is not coming from you know, the exact source and destination, because we'll be serving our application from S3, but the API gateway is somewhere else. So course will be an issue in this scenario. So we're going to click on create resource. We're going to create a method that's called post, because we're posting this information to this function. And we know this is going to be calling the passport photo Lambda function that's in US east 1, and it's going to call this Lambda function. I'm going to say save and OK. Before going to the next step, I'm going to make sure I click on cores and enable cores, replace existing headers to make sure our cores is completely enabled. So let's click on the post. On the left side, you do have the client side, and on the right side, it's your integration side, which is the server side. Your server side, you see integration response is going to call a Lambda function at the end, and this is the client side that will be sending a request to your API. So let's actually test that. I'm going to go back and grab a copy of this object that I sent for my Lambda. Now this time, I'll be testing this through APIGateway. Beautiful. APIGateway is calling the Lambda function as getting response back. So I just confirmed everything looks good as far as APIGateway and Lambda function, right? So remember, when you want to, when you make changes in your APIGateway, you need to deploy that changes. So since it's the first time, I'm going to create prod, but for the next one, you just keep deploying to your environment. I have a stage called production. I'm going to say deploy. Now you see in the stage, I do have my endpoint ready. Well, this is the endpoint. If I go to, for example, Postman, and let's test it through Postman. New, I'm going to go to history. Let's just select one of these. Okay, this is my prod, right? I'm going to send this to prod. And if you guys remember our APIGateway, the prod is the endpoint, but I do have a method within that guy. So I need to select the basically resource that I'm trying to call. So I'm going to add this at the end of this guy. I'm going to go to body. Inside the body, I do have a JSON. Remember, make sure this is JSON and this is body. And just copy paste the same object that you have from your APIGateway or Lambda. Send the request. There should not be any space. There it is. We're getting the face detail from our client side. This is going to be eventually our React app who's going to make the API call. But we know for sure our backend is functionally fully working and we have no problem with it. So before we actually move forward and build our front-end application, I want to talk about two things here. So when you guys serve your application from S3, let's say we're going to build a React application in our S3, you want to always, for real-life application, serve that through something called CloudFront, which is a content delivery network CDN. These are the edge location that Amazon provides. So the bucket will be actually in one region, in the US, Europe, or anywhere in the world. And then when you leverage the CloudFront or content delivery, your users will be connecting to the closest version of your application. So they will have a great experience. There will be no latency, and they'll be able to upload their passport photo as you are expecting. This is going to be a worldwide, around the globe, people are going to post their photos to get a new passport, for example. So one thing I want to make sure, if you have, for example, CloudFront, you can eliminate a direct access to your bucket by just forcing user to go through CloudFront. This can be used, leveraged as a security mechanism to protect your content in S3. Let's say you have a premium content, you want to make sure people are paying for it, and that content will be only accessible through your website and through CloudFront. So nobody can actually go and download your content. One last thing here, when you leverage CloudFront, you can actually use a Lambda at edge, which basically gives you two processing power before the CloudFront and after CloudFront. On the left side, the user, when they send the request to CloudFront, you can actually add their physical location. Let's say in your passport photo validator app, you want to add the IP of the user or maybe where they're connecting from. So that can be added as a header to your request using a technology called Lambda at edge, right? This is something you want to explore on your own, but I just want to make sure you guys are aware they exist. Now we're going to go ahead and build our front-end application. All right, guys, I want you guys to download Visual Studio Code and make sure you install these extensions. One of them is simple React snippet. And for now, actually, that's it. But you can also use a library called Prettier, which basically, makes your code looks nicer and organizes your code. I'm going to install that as well. So in the meantime, go ahead and download Node.js. You can download it from node.js.org, and based on your operating system, pick the right version and download it. So when you go to your actually command prompt and you type in node, maybe dash version, you should see the node version that you're running. So once you have node installed and your application is ready, then create a folder, navigate to the folder, just go to the open folder, and this is what you will get. It says passport photo app. So now open terminal in your Visual Studio Code, and once you have terminal open, we're going to go ahead and create passport app. Perfect. And passport app. This is going to take some time. We're going to pause the video here and we'll start as soon as it's ready. All right, guys, the installation npx is done. Now we're just going to cd to this passport app. We're going to clear the screen. I want you guys to install a few things, modules that we're going to use. The first one is, of course, is React Bootstrap. If you just Google React Bootstrap, you will go to this github.io link and just select this guy and paste it right here. This is Bootstrap, and just for Bootstrap, we're going to need to just copy our CSS to apt.js file. So within your React application, you're going to have a bunch of folders. Node module is basically the modules that you're going to use in your application. That's how you run your React application. Public is the public side of your app, which is index.html is the entry point of your app. And then if you scroll down, you will see a division called root. And this root will basically be replaced by your app.js as an entry point. It's going to replace that, that content and put it inside the root, division in your main page. Cool. Let's go to app.js, and looks like we're ready. And I'm just going to do ls. Looks good. I'm going to use npm start, and I'm going to wait for the application to start. So this was our first basically module that we installed. I just want to make sure I add this Bootstrap link to my CSS link to my app.js. There it is. This is how you add it. And if you now take a look, we're going to go to localhost. So there it is. Here's your React application. And this is the division that we do have within our app.js. I'm going to get rid of all of these guys because I'm about to build my own. And what I want to do, I'm just going to go ahead and create a division, and you guys will see how. So I'm going to create a module. So on src, right click and create new. I'm going to name it upload.js or JSX, doesn't matter. So the simple React snippet that you guys install, if you type imrc, it will automatically, import all the things that you need. Well, we need React and component that will basically inherit all the things from component and React to this module. So we're building a React module. Type cc, hit enter, and then just change it to the file name, which is upload.js. There it is. So there's going to be a class, and we're going to do stuff here, and render at the end. It's going to return something out, which is called export default.upload. So at the end, this class will be exported using this command to wherever you want to use it. So let's say I want to use it here. So it's going to be upload.js. So this is the module. I can keep importing into different pages of my application. This is the beauty of the modular programming like React. So you create those modules, component, and then you import them wherever you need them. Awesome. So inside the div, and I'm going to actually use import upload from this. So that way I can simply go ahead and import my upload module right here. So if I save this guy and go back inside the render in my upload.js, for now I'm just going to have a division that does say hello. There it is. If I go back, so there it is. So I removed that. This hello component that you see on top left, it is coming from a module called upload.js. We exported that and we started using this component, this module within our app.js file. Okay. So we're going to go back to app.js. There's one thing I need to install. So I'm hitting Control-C in my terminal and I'm going to say yes. Stop this because I do want to install one more thing. So we already installed React Bootstrap, right? One thing that we need to install right here, you see it's React file base 64. This is the module that we can use. It does have, you know, great 2,500 downloads per week, for example. You can test it, but this is how the instruction works. We can just simply use it and convert our images to base 64 and send it to our API gateway. So I'm going to install that right here. Once that's done, then we are pretty much done with all the installation, and we can just build a form and upload the code, upload the image to API gateway. So while that's installing, I'm going to add a few things. So inside upload.js, I'm going to keep my division, because if you have multiple division but they're not in one single div, you're going to get an error. So in React, instead of class, you're just going to use class name. This is our JSX style. We're going to have a row, and then I'm going to create one column. As you know, Bootstrap is going to divide the page by 12 columns. So that will be, I'm going to divide it by 2, will be 6, and I'm going to offset that by 3. So that means put 3 columns behind, put 3 columns after, that's total of 6, plus another 6, that will be total of 12 columns. And my content will be at the center of the screen. Perfect. And I'm going to type in, for example, H4, passport photo validator. Cool. And I'm just going to save this. So this is one of my rows. I'm going to create 3 rows. The first one was my title. The second one is going to be the actual form, right? That we're going to put the photo and upload the file. And the last one is going to be just a command button that it's going to save to send that to the form. Before actually we continue building the form, I do want to import a few more things here, guys. So the first one I want to import for forms, I'm going to start importing button. Awesome. And one thing that I forgot to install, that I need to install actually React Strap. Great, we're going to import button. We're going to import, for example, form. If you want to use form group, you can install form group, everything from, and you guys know, from React Strap. There you go. One more thing that we need to import. You guys remember that we installed that base 64. So I'm going to import file base 64 from React Strap file base 64, and I'm going to import that. Perfect. Now I'm going to scroll down, and inside the second row that I have, I'm just going to go ahead and create my basically forms base 64 form, so I can upload my photo. So this will be file base 64. I'm going to say multiple. It's going to be false because I want to upload only one file, and I'm going to say undone. I'm going to bind this to a method, and I'm going to tell you how. Get files dot bind is going to be this, because when there is an action, you're going to basically lose the control of context, of the current context, and this is how you are binding this back to a method, right? And I'll show you shortly. If I scroll up outside of the render, I am going to create a method called getFiles, and inside the getFiles is going to receive files, for example. And you guys know that state, it's something internal to a component, basically where we store the local variables that belongs to a component, right? And since you're extending the component, your upload is already going to inherit everything that component has, right? And state is one of them. State is the internal mechanism, it's the internal container for a component where you can store variables and things like that. However, you have to remember that props, right? It's the values that you pass to the component, and they're only readable. State is read and write. You can read and update the state, but there's a method. You have to be very careful how you update your state. And props are only read only. You can just receive them. So I could technically pass a parameter here to a component called upload through props, right? This is how we do it. So let's go back to get files. I'm going to access this.setState. This is how we set up our state. This is how we change something inside the state. So remember, never update the state directly. Always use set state. Okay. So inside the state, I'm going to have the files, which is going to be, I'm going to go for now for a map. You can, add multiple photos, but for now, we're just going to, go with this, see how it goes. Every single component that you build, it does come with, something called constructor, and you want to use props. Basically, constructor is the first method that gets called, and you want to pass all the props to the superclass, right? And this.setState, now it's going to be part of this initialization, right? So you're going to have something called this.props, right? Inside the constructor, and we're going to close the thing at the end. Perfect. So this looks great. So you have the props, and within the props you do have inside the constructor you do have your state, which does have one variable called files, where we're going to store all the files within this variable, right? And it's a list, as you can see. So, and if you want to update the state, as I said, you always want to use this.setState. You don't want to directly go and upload that. And I'm going to save files. So whatever I have on the right side, that's going to come, it's going to update whatever I have on the left side. So the left side variable files, it's actually the same variable. So we're basically assigning whatever we are receiving, which is the right one, and we're putting it to the left one. This is how we set the variable files with the file that we just received, right? So if I want to confirm that, I can just go ahead and console.log that, files to make sure, I'm receiving a base64. You will see shortly, because the file base64, there is an undone method inside the documentation, base64 npm, actually file base64 npm. And if you look, if I scroll down right here, it does say, there it is. There is actually template, and here's the get file and all the explanation that you can see here. This is this method undone. It will basically set up this file so we can use it in our application. Okay, let's minimize that. So we do have the file, and at the end, of course, we're going to need a command button that where we can actually, initiate the command. I'm going to name this a btn based on Bootstrap. You guys probably are familiar. If not, I'm going to use just refer to Bootstrap documentation. btn large will make the button larger. I'm going to just make it red. So I'm going to use danger, and it's going to be btn block. Perfect. And I'm going to say on click. When I clicked on this guy, please on this object call a method called file upload, right? We're going to create a method called file upload shortly, and you guys are going to see how. But again, I need to bind this method to make sure I'm not losing control of the context. So what I'm going to do inside this constructor, I'm going to say this, that the function that I built, I need to bind this back. I need to bind this guy back to this. So basically, I always, keep the contents connected to this method invocation, right? So one last thing I need to build is actually a method for uploading the file. So let's say when I click on that file upload, what do I want to do, right? I want to basically create a asynchronous call, right? I want to say await, I'm going to fetch, and I'm going to need my method. So I'm going to go back to the endpoint. This was the endpoint, address of the endpoint. You want to copy that guy. And we want to say fetch, meaning issue an API command against this endpoint and use asynchronous call. I forgot to put the async. So you want to issue an asynchronous call. You don't want to wait for the response to come back, but you send the request and you wait for the response. When the response comes back, React internally will get notified through the event cycle, and it will update the state, and so that way you can get the result back. So I want to say the result of this guy, of this call, should go to a constant called response, because I want to log it into console and see what I did. So this is the endpoint. Now I'm going to provide some stuff for my method. I'm going to say I'm using a post method, right? This is an API call, very normal. You can do this with Axios, with a jQuery, with Ajax, with a lot of different things. Very simple and keep it easy. Except this is going to be application/JSON, and I'm going to say comma content type. Content type is going to be equal to application ./JSON. Beautiful. And of course at the end I'm going to have a body where I can provide the content of the photo, and that will need to be serialized. JSON.stringify. Basically I want to send this as a there you go. Let me show you. Converts the JavaScript value to JavaScript object notation to JSON. I want to issue this JSON request against my API gateway. And where's the photo? It's inside the state. How do I access it? This.state.files. This was the variable that I had inside the disk. This was the temporary location where I kept all the values inside this guy. All right, so I think we are in a good shape. And at the end, after issuing that, I do want to go ahead and hopefully see if I can console.log the response back that I'm getting from this response. Perfect. So let's start the app. npm start. Okay, we do have an error here because the method needs to be just like that. No equal sign. We're going to refresh that. We want to see a form 48. We do have an error. Let's go down. There's the line 48. Oh, it's going to be false. I misspelled false. Perfect. So one thing I need to do at the end, it's going to be just adding verify my photo, right? And verify my photo, it should give us, there you go. So the only thing that's missing, it might be a little bit of styling. Let's add a quick style here, and I'm going to show you how to do it. On the src, just right click, create a new file. I'm going to name upload.css. I'm going to copy a style that I have ready. I'm going to explain what it does. It's an outline dashed with a color, 2 pixel. There is an offset of -10 pixel. Basically, the dot and the dash thing that I have, it's going to be inside the box. There's some padding to make this a center align, and the width is 100%, and there's a background color. So I'm going to save that, go back, and hopefully, okay, so I haven't applied this, basically to my upload section. I'm going to go back, and I'm going to say, hey, I want to import this style guide that I just created, and it's going to be upload.css. Perfect. And how do I apply a class? I know that easily. I can go to my form. It says file, where we want to have the file. I'm going to go to the column section that I built, and I want to add the file style. So hopefully that should fix my styling issue. There you go. We'll fix the center shortly. And one more thing I want to have to all the rows that I've built in this class, I want to add one thing, and that's margin top, and that's going to be like, let's say 30 pixel. So all the classes, they should have a little bit space on top. Okay, I need to have another row, and inside this row I just want to create my image, and just the img tag src, my source. It's going to be basically this .state .file, and you guys know we do have that files inside our state, but I want to get the base 64, right? Because I know I have it in saved as a 64 base 64 format, so that's how I need to convert it to an actual image so I can use it within my HTML tag. Perfect. So I'm going to go back, and I don't need the files applied to this guy, and this is cool. The only thing that I need to fix is just to center this box. All right, guys, I just added margin, auto, and just fix the padding to have 100 pixel, and there it is. Now you have the center. So there's still the last piece of our, file upload procedure. We're going to complete that and test the application shortly. And we promised to send a photo. If you guys recall, in our Lambda function, we had a request that received, and we named it photo because our Lambda function is going to look for this tag, or basically packet inside the request. So, and we know if we go inside our state, we have files, and we know our file, since an object, there is a base 64 section inside that, because the file itself comes with a lot of different things, like a type, name of the file, the extension, but the part that we are interested in is actually the base 64 part of that photo, right? Okay, so let's now create a constant so we can actually test the application quickly. This actually, we have an error. This should be object. I forgot to put the curly braces. So this will be const result. It's going to be result. We're going to wait for the response to come back. So since we put the basically asynchronous call inside the response, now we have to wait for the response to come back, and we know it's going to come back as a JSON object, because in our API gateway we define that our function is going to return a JSON response, right? So now we're going to actually set this value inside the state, and I'm going to assume we're going to have a result, and I'm going to just get the body of the results that's coming back, right? We're just interested in the body. We're not interested in any other thing. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my state. As you can see, I have an object called result, because I'm going to store the value that I'm going to receive in that. So what I'm going to do, let's go console.log. I'm going to console.log this.state.result. I want to see what I have. All right, we're going to go back. I'm going to append this. We're going to send my photo. There it is. And so perfect. I do have a face detail, and it does come with bounding box. As you can see, is if the object has this means there's a photo of a person inside this picture. All right. So, but I need to be a little bit more, clear as far as getting the face details. So I'm going to create something called face details. It's going to be equal to JSON. I'm going to parse this JSON object, a JavaScript object that I have in the state. Perfect. And this is going to be actually const. This is a constant variable. I parse that JSON object. So now I can decide, actually, say if face details that I created, it does have face details inside it, And if you guys recall, it came with bounding box, right? If that object exists, it means I have it. Otherwise, means I don't have that object. That means it's not a photo of a person, right? So if bounding box, this guy, because inside the face detail, remember face detail, if there is something inside the face detail, there is something, here's this 0, which means the first index. If that's undefined, that means basically there's no photo, there's no person in the photo. So this is going to be invalid photo, right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this guy, and we're going to say else. This is going to be definitely a valid photo. And the reason it's going to be valid photo, because inside the face details, there is going to be a bounding box. Let's go back to our application. We're going to go ahead and upload a photo of a car. We're going to issue the command. It says invalid photo. Now we're going to go ahead and issue a second command. This time I'm going to submit my own photo. And there's it says valid photo. Perfect. We completed that, but we're going to make it a little bit nicer. And by actually adding a message here that, hey, please re-upload the photo. And in order to do that, we can say if person, actually, we can have this is going to be false. And actually, it's going to be empty, right? And as soon as we update that, we can actually go ahead and update the state. So it's going to be this set state, and it's going to be in person. It's going to be if person. It's going to be invalid photo, and please upload again. Perfect. And we don't need that. And otherwise, we're going to say this is a valid photo. Thanks for uploading your photo. Perfect. And I'm just going to make this invalid photo. I'm going to change the message. Sorry. Looks like you just uploaded an invalid photo. All right, we are okay. Now, what we can do actually in this section, we can just simply go ahead and add a section underneath our if person, and right here we're going to say const if person is going to be this state that's sky, and inside the render now we have this if person where we can actually show right here. Maybe I can add another row like that, and inside that row I can just simply go ahead and print that message. There you go. Beautiful. We're going to go back. I'm going to upload my photo of a car. Sorry, looks like you just uploaded an invalid photo. CMAC. Thanks for uploading your photo. Beautiful. Our app is working perfectly. So now what we're going to do, we're going to package this website and upload it to S3 and finish this video, right? So in order to set up AWS Management Console, I'm going to go to my Management Console. Inside the Management Console, if you Google actually a bucket policy for S3 website, you will find this link. And if you scroll down, there's a section that there's a policy that I'm going to copy this and So we're going to set up our bucket to serve our application. So we're going to go to S3. Perfect. I'm going to create a bucket in Northern Virginia region, and I'm going to say passport photo app. And I'm just going to go next. Just take a look. You can set up versioning, you can set up tag, object level logging, and I'm going to let everyone access this website because this is going to be a public website. Create bucket. I'm going to go inside the bucket and go to permission. Inside the permission, I'm going to create a bucket policy that I just copied, and I know the name of the AWS S3 bucket that I have. It's called passport photo, and I'm just allowing people to get object. There's no upload, there's no modify, there's no delete. The only thing that I'm allowing people to do is just to have that passport photo. And as you can see now, we have a public bucket policy. I'm going to go back to properties and go to static website. I'm going to activate this. It's going to look for index.html. And I'm going to, for error, you can create your own error, but for now, I'm just going to use this guy. Perfect. So on the React application section, I'm just going to pause the application. Beautiful. And once I pause that, I can go ahead and run build, npm run build, and you will see on the left side we're going to have a build folder. I'm just going to reveal this in Explorer, and I'm waiting to see that build folder. And once the build is done, we're just going to go ahead and upload our files into the bucket, and we're done. We should be able to serve our application. If you later want to connect this app, we're going to run this app shortly. I'm just waiting for the app to finish building the process, but later you might want to connect this to Route 53 so your domain can actually forward your users to this application. So I'm going to go to build. There it is. Now inside my if I go back to S3, I can just copy everything, drag and drop right here, or you can do it through CLI, doesn't matter. There it is. It's just uploading one by one. Now we're going to properties. I'm going to go to static website. We're going to open our website. There it is. The application is live. Now we're serving off of S3, and I'm going to upload once more the tree. It says sorry, looks like you just uploaded an invalid photo. I'm going to go back to my own photo. It says thanks for uploading your photo. So we are just able right now to serve our application off of S3. We built the application, the backend on the Lambda and APIGateway, and fully working application on Amazon Web Services using AWS Rekognition. This time I'm going to just send a photo of the car. It says sorry, looks like you just uploaded an invalid photo. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In this video, we learned how to use S3 to serve our React app, and also we use AWS Rekognition in conjunction with APIGateway and Lambda. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave your comments below. And if you want to get update regarding future courses, don't forget to put your email in the mailing list. I hope to see you guys soon. Until next time, bye.